Another brick fan with a Polybag review. This is Iconic Red Plane. This is set 30669. It was released in January 2024. It has 51 pieces, no minifigures, and cost about $5 when it was released. As you can see, this is part of the Creator 3-in-1 series, so we get a plane, a boat, we get two different planes and a boat for this particular build. We're going to start by building the Iconic Red Plane itself, and then we'll come back to the other alternate builds. So let's get going. Here is the Iconic Red Plane. As you can see, it's got a really nice shaping here, very red, of course. Nice use of this blue for the canopy of the cockpit. Good shaping for the tail, like the wings, the standard green and red for the sides of the airplane. Of course, those are universal. That's a universal code so that planes know which direction other planes are moving or which direction they're turning based on those lights that they see there. Of course, it's a prop-driven plane. It's got this really long front here. Normally, the cockpit I would expect to be up closer here, so maybe this is more of a stunt plane or something that's designed with a really large engine. You can see in the non-retractable landing gear here, just a skateboard piece there for that. Of course, other tail lights here of the green and red, of course, for the left and right of the plane. I think overall it turned out really nicely. I like the use of this line of yellow bricks here to give it a little bit of color. You have these rail pieces on the side which give that feeling of ventilation maybe for the engine. And then, so overall a pretty good representation of an airplane. There's of course another airplane build as well as a boat build. So let's take a look at those builds right now. Here's one of the alternate builds for our red plane. This is it looks like a speedboat, maybe with two places for people to sit. They're using the propeller here as the engine for this particular speedboat. So it's kind of like an airboat, but it looks, more powerful maybe than an airboat. It looks more like a racing boat to me. Pretty nice little build. Normally you would have some of those inverted tile pieces on the bottom here, to kind of make it more slippery so that it would move across the table better, but those weren't included in this set, which is fine. I think overall this is a really good, quick little redesign. I think this is a really good use of the parts that came with the red plane to make a different vehicle. So there is one of the alternate builds. Let's take a look at the other one. Here is the third build, or the second alternate build for the red plane polybag. And as you see, there's a cockpit up front here with the blue glass. There's some small wings. It's more of a jet aircraft. I suppose these little rail pieces could be considered the engines, a big tail back here. I think this actually turned out pretty nicely. I like this one pretty much. I like this one as much as the main build, actually. I think it looks really good. Turned out nicely. This one uses almost all the parts. Obviously the propeller is not included in this because it's more of a jet aircraft, maybe like a small Cessna or little small private type jet or private passenger type plane. So there are both alternate builds for our Iconic Red Plane. Let's go back and I'll give you my final thoughts on this set. Coming back to the original plane, here is, I think overall this is a very nice set. I think it's great that you get three different representations of vehicles in this set. I think the piece count is pretty good as far as this set goes. You get 51 pieces, which puts it right at 10 cents a piece. But like I said, you'd get 3 different models. And I've always felt polybags at $5 is a good value. And they've been at $5 for 3 or 4 years now, I think. A lot of retailers are starting to mark up polybags. It kind of depends on where you are, but I've seen them as high as $8 for a polybag. But most of the time I look around and try and find them at the retail price of $5, which I think is a good price for a polybag. Hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this polybag set. I'm going to get started on my next video. And until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to see more of my content. I've left a link to my polybag review playlist up here on the screen.